Welcome back here. What's Cooking, the nation's food, wine, restaurant, and travel show. Well, Mel Gibson in the news, Paul Stern, and apparently this is serious stuff right now. He's being investigated in this domestic violence claim by his ex-girlfriend. Charges have not been filed yet in Los Angeles, but there is an investigation going on. And apparently the websites, you've checked some of these out over there. This is not something we want to air on any network or any radio station anywhere. Gibson has went over the edge this time.
Quite disturbing account. I happen to check it out myself on the internet and kind of researching the story at radaronline.com. I guess that's where they have the full 8 minutes of recording. And if indeed it is Mel Gibson, I guess is it his wife or his girlfriend? It is somewhat disturbing.
Yeah, and this is at this Radar Online. Is that what it was? The radar.com has got the whole thing there?
That seems to be the location that people are going to hear this rather just... unbelievable, the verbiage.
They weren't married. Apparently, he did get divorced, I think, a year ago, April, and he took up with this Russian singer, Oksana Grigorieva, and she apparently was not dressing the way he liked her. That's part of the thing that I heard, is he was saying that she was dressing maybe a little too sexily or something out there, and I'm putting it mildly here the way he said it, but... he went crazy, and I'm feeling you got to feel bad for him at first, because if you didn't know he's being recorded, you have to watch it when you get angry and you get mad and you become a crazy man.
What do you mean when?
Well, it can happen sometimes when you get like out of control. You don't want recorders around, and I mean this guy said some things here that now in public he's never going to live down. I mean, this is going to be, he can deny him all he wants and say, I don't believe it, I don't say that. People have heard you actually say words that are terrible, and so now you're going to always formulate that opinion like this guy is a racist, this guy is from the statements that you heard.
Yeah, and I don't mean to try to be like an armchair detective, but there's been reports that he might have knocked some teeth out.
Well, that's the investigation. There might be domestic violence. And
I guess if you listen to the recording like close enough, it's kind of like indicates that might have occurred. And then there's some kind of, I guess I'm kind of I don't know if it's like an idle threat or just one that's just kind of thrown out for consideration, but he does actually contend that he's going to, I think, bury her in the roses.
I didn't hear that. I did not hear that.
And
part.
So you combine some physical attack and with the threat.
That's
I think
terrible.
I don't know how Mr. Gibson's going to avoid some kind of a jail sentence.
Not to defend him in any way, but the strange part about this whole thing is, and again, their relationship must be strained from the get-go. But she sounds, if this happened, if she got hit and everything, and this recording occurred at that very same time, she's very calm when she's talking to him, and he is getting crazier and crazier and going nutsier and nutsier. And they always say sometimes when you just back off and you stay calm, you let the other person go nuts, then you can really see the difference between person A and person B. But, you know, if my teeth were knocked out, and I would be a little panicked and sound like I'm scrambling around. So maybe this recording was done at a different time than the actual domestic violence deal.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
That could be the case.
Because otherwise it sounds kind of strange that way. But this Grigoria, the Russian singer, she's really calm, and Mel is getting crazier and crazier as he goes along. And he got crazy in that car with those police officers when he got arrested for... being drunk and disorderly, not disorderly, but drunk in public and couldn't drive.
Yeah, no, it's terrible stuff. And again, at this point, I think it goes beyond just an anger management issue. It goes into one where there's a physical assault and a threat. And again, I said I don't know how that there's going to be any kind of other thing for somebody to do in law enforcement other than to press some kind of a charge.
We're going to try and get Jim Herson, who is a author and himself a talk show host, who has worked on a book with Mel Gibson, to maybe shed some light on this, hopefully later today on the PM show. Mr. Herson, Jim Herson, will be available, and we'll see if we can get some comments. I don't even know if he's been talking with Mel. Mel seemed like he went off the deep end to me, because he always talked about his family and how much he loved his wife, and he's got like 8 or 9 or 10 kids with his first wife, and then she filed for divorce and divorced him, and I thought, well, that's kind of strange. And then he's on the Tonight Show and acting like a kid, kind of like Tom Cruise was, but no way am I linking Tom Cruise with Mel Gibson here, Tom. I'm sorry if I did. But Mel seemed like he was happy and like a little kid in a candy store with this new Russian singer Grigoria, and now this comes out. I was like, what? I just saw him on the show not too long ago, and they were like he was like a lovebird, and now he's throwing possible fisticuffs at Okasaka Grigoriev. It's really something else.
And if you listen to the recording, she does sound like she has a very pleasant voice.
I did not hear that. Have you heard her sing?
I have. No, not her singing. I've heard her talking to Mel Gibson, allegedly on the telephone, and she seems very reasonable, very pleasant. Like she couldn't. Who could ever object to anything she does? She seems to be about as sweet as they come.
You have not heard her sing because she is a singer. I just wonder if she's worked in a few lounges around town where we might have caught the act, so to speak, and also heard her sing.
I really don't know. I can't say for sure, but like I said, there's no excuse to not only speak to somebody in that kind of a tone, but if indeed it is true that he actually had physical contact with her, and then again you combine that with a threat to do even more greater damage and harm. They got a child that's obviously the product of their relationship, and they're going to have something to obviously situate that child with the parent that's most suited to be the parent. And
well, is it that what was up for the argument at first was the custody battle over the child? I believe Mel wanted the kid and Osaka wanted the kid. Oh. Is that her name, Osaka? I keep getting the name right.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like that.
Oksana. I'm sorry, Oksana.
Oh.
Oksana. Osaka sounds like she might be Japanese. This lady is Russian, and it's Oksana. Oksana Grigorieva, and she apparently a young Russian performer, singer, and this is going to help her career. I'll tell you right now, people are going to at least take light and say, well, let's see what she sounds like. Exactly what I'm saying right now. They're going to want to hear what she sounds like.
Did you ever have like a next-door neighbor, anybody that lived in close proximity?
Yes,
in close proximity.
Oh, there's more? Okay, sorry.
That had a bad habit of like raising their voice and getting argumentative at times?
Yes, my father.
Oh.
No. And on occasion my brother. No, you mean where you'd hear arguments in the neighborhood? That's kind of I guess there might have been some neighbors at one point that would have a real loud yelling match, and that always is embarrassing because then they got to go outside and act like they're lovey-dovey and everything's okay. But, back in my day, everything went. It was like the 50s. You didn't have any of these activist groups out there. There could have been bad times for people.
Oh, really?
And I never heard fisticuffs or anything like that, but I might have on occasion heard Bob and Nancy, go crazy and they yell at each other, and you go, wow, come on out, take a listen to this. It was more of an event in those days where the neighbors all got out to listen to what was going on.
Oh, no kidding. We would actually just get by the window and open it up a crack and put our ears as close to the screen as we could.
Yeah, well, you could do that.
Yeah, that's what we would kind of do it. And boy, we'd hear some really kind of bizarre things. It's usually over dinner. Like something wasn't cooked properly. I don't know if that's
what caused this?
Yeah, I don't know if Mel Gibson actually.
Maybe it was a bad dinner that Oksana put together for her. Maybe it was some kind of Russian borscht. Maybe she. Maybe. It didn't
kind of a he's like a meat and potatoes kind of guy.
Didn't meet with Mr. Gibson's desires there. This is the worst borscht I've ever had.
I think we actually have a recording.
This borscht is crap. Take this down there if you're in a restaurant. I throw it in people's faces. This is real cheap. We had to edit that out. Really, that's on the Mike and Paul website. We'll have more of that for you later today at crntalk.com. Plus, we'll post Paul's borscht recipe. CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant.